The new motive, despair disease. Students are chosen and given the disease, making them act out of character. Knowing this was all put in place for a murder to happen, it can't be good. Shuichi woke up the next day knowing that some of the students had already been affected by the disease. The feeling of anxiety only increased when he went to the dining hall where all the remaining students met every morning for breakfast, and Kokichi wasn't there along with half of the other students. His heartbeat started to quicken. Where could they be? Where could Kokichi be? Maybe someone got killed? He shook his head, trying to stay sane by pushing all the thoughts coming into his mind away so he could think. Kokichi might still be sleeping. I should go check on him, Shuichi thought to himself, silently leaving the dining hall to head back to the dorms. He walked through the door and went to Kokichi's dorm room. He started staring at the door silently, hoping that Kokichi was alright, as he knocked on the door. Kokichi didn't answer the door, and this made Shuichi start to panic. He banged on the door and yelled for Kokichi for a moment before the door abruptly swung open. "What are you doing here?" Kokichi asked, looking up at him. He looked like shit. His eyes were all red and his cheeks were wet, and it looked like he had been crying. He was wearing a thick black sweatshirt with checkered sweats on. He looked a little irritated, but his confusion was more dominant on his face. Shuichi thought, analyzing the situation to try to piece together what the fuck was going on with Kokichi.
"I just came to make sure you were okay."
Shuichi said under his breath, bringing his hand to his face to hide his small blush. Kokichi looked so cute, but why was he crying? Does he need help? Shuichi thought to himself, turning his gaze back to Kokichi. "Oh, well, that was considerate of you, but you should leave. I'm not doing fine, so you can go meet with everybody else," Kokichi said, placing his hands on his chest, pushing him away from the door before he shut it. Shuichi placed his foot in the way before opening the door again.
"You are obviously not okay, seeing as you told me moments before."
Kokichi looked irritated but didn't say anything.
"I want to help you, Kokichi, so please let me in."
Shuichi said before Kokichi gave him a nod, not trusting his own voice. He walked into Kokichi's room and locked the door behind him. Kokichi walked over to his bed and laid down, staring at the ceiling, letting his arm cover his face. Shuichi walked over and laid beside him.
"Do you want to talk about it?"
Shuichi asked, trying his best to not sound demanding. He wanted answers, but he didn't want to freak Kokichi out. That was the last thing he wanted. "Yes!" Kokichi said before he moved his hands to his eyes. "Shit!" he yelled, making Shuichi jump.
"Kokichi?"
Shuichi asked, looking up at Kokichi's face, which was covered by his arms at the moment. "Sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. I just have the truthful disease. Making me tell the truth all the fucking time." Kokichi sighed, sounding defeated. So he did get the disease, Shuichi thought, feeling bad for Kokichi. He knew that Kokichi felt comfortable lying, seeing as any time he talks to anyone, it's a lie. "I shouldn't keep pushing you away, but I do like a fucking moron. You always want to help me and I push you away because I'm so selfish. I don't deserve you," Kokichi said as his sobs cut him off. He couldn't even see Shuichi's face anymore. He was too blinded by his own tears.
"No, you don't have to say you're sorry. It must be hard for you,"
Shuichi said, placing his hand on top of Kokichi's hand. Taking it in his, he pulled Kokichi's hands off his face and saw that he had been crying. With a frown, he sat down next to him and pulled him into a hug.
"I care about you, Kokichi, and I want you to feel happy. You deserve all the love and care I want to give you,"
Shuichi said, pulling his hand to his lips, placing a soft kiss on his hand, making Kokichi flustered. His face grew red and his eyes looked anywhere where Shuichi wasn't. Shuichi laughed to himself and moved his hands to Kokichi's cheeks, making him face him. "Shuichi?" Kokichi yelped, trying to move his hands to hide his blush. He held his hands away from his face. Kokichi definitely was being more honest. He would usually say it's a lie and push Shuichi away. But he was so flustered and it made Shuichi only fall for him so much more. He found the way he would look away from his gaze because he was embarrassed unbearably cute. The cute flush on his cheeks and the way his hair was in his face allowing Shuichi the chance to brush it out of his eyes, gently caressing the skin on his face.
Kokichi, do you like me?
Shuichi asked, already knowing the answer, but he wanted to hear him say it. Kokichi's face burned under Shuichi's eyes. Shuichi has him backed in a corner. Even if he wanted to lie, he couldn't. Kokichi sighed and took in an irritated breath, knowing that this was all part of Shuichi's plan. Yes, I do. I love you a lot, Shuichi. Kokichi said, pulling Shuichi closer to him to hide his face in Shuichi's chest. He was acting way out of character, and this made Shuichi feel braver to be more confident and confront him like this. Was Kokichi always like this and he just hides it in front of the others? Probably. But I'm glad I'm the only one that gets to see Kokichi in this state.
I love you, Kokichi.
Shuichi said, moving his head on top of Kokichi's, holding his waist securely with his arms. Kokichi shuffles as close as he can to Shuichi and sighs contently. I'm glad you came to my door, Shuichi. Kokichi whispered into Shuichi's chest.
Thank you for being honest with me,
he said, making Kokichi scoff at him. Shuichi laughed at how cute Kokichi was before he moved to plant a kiss on his lips. Kokichi flushed, surprised before kissing him back. Shuichi smiled and felt Kokichi smile against his lips. Shuichi was happy that Kokichi got the disease that he did. He was glad that he could finally see Kokichi without his mask and just be able to be with him and be honest with him.